Dr. Brad Leech, welcome officially to In Her Era.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I am so excited because you are the very first man that is on this podcast.
Okay. All right. Lot to live up to.
Yeah. But I thought, what better person, the first man to have on than my own mentor in the gut health space, because you have really expanded my own knowledge and my expertise around gut health, the way I address gut health, the way I assess, the way I look at testing. So I was like, there has to be, if I'm going to talk about gut health, because it's like my favorite topic, I'm bringing on the expert and I'm not gatekeeping you. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation. The one thing I want to ask first, before we dive into the strategies and the tangibles, how did you get into gut health? Because it is so niche. And so you obviously, when you started, it wasn't like as trendy as it was.
You know, I never wanted to be an expert in gut health.
Mm-hmm.
That was not my intention at all. It just, through a series of events, it just landed in my lap and I've rolled with it. I, from a very young age, was brought up in a very health conscious family, and I actually dropped out of school when I was 15 to go to university.
Did you?
I sure did, to study herbal medicine. And so it was a few parts in this herbal medicine degree, but I graduated as Australia's youngest herbalist.
Of course you did.
I saw my first patient, a 55-year-old menopausal woman at the age of 16. It was like just after my 16th birthday, asking her questions about menopause and hot flushes. And I'm like, I hadn't even gone through puberty myself. And that really started this curiosity when it comes around to health. And I went on to do a nutrition degree, and it was actually on this day 10 years ago that I got an email. I signed up for a research project in my final year of university, focusing on autoimmune disease and digestive health. And during this research project over the summer break, we dived into all these different risk factors driving autoimmune disease. One of them was gut health. And when it came around to doing my honours, my PhD, my supervisors, they said, Brad, you need to narrow down your research topic. You really need to narrow down on one particular area. And so I focused on this concept called leaky gut. I focused on that because it was a gateway for the development of autoimmune diseases. So although I'm known for my special interest and focus in gut health, the microbiome, it's also autoimmunity. That's really how that came about, because when someone presents with an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, it's not just about their systemic health, it's about what's happening within their gut.
100%. There is, and I know from my own personal experience, which we will dive into, like gut health for me was the needle mover in my entire health history. When you going from all the research, all the study that you've done, and then looking online now, gut health is really trendy, very popular, but I feel like, and I'd love to know from your perspective, do you feel like people are becoming more educated or are becoming more confused and misinformed?
We're in the era
Yeah.
of too much information.
Yeah.
Where it's information overload, where a lot of clients are coming and they've already put their data into AI and they've asked AI these questions to say, what do I do? And it's not providing them the care that they need. And so it's almost our job as practitioners to support our clients to push away all of this other information and go, just this area, this is what we need to focus on, because we are exposed to too much information at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of the conversation when people come to me. They're like, I don't even know what to follow. Yeah. I don't know what to listen to, whether it's gut health, whether it's anything, because there's so much information. What do you feel like is missing, or the most common misinformed information you're finding when people come to you around gut health?
I don't know if I want to open this can of worms, but I feel like we should.
We go.
Parasites.
The parasite cleansers?
The parasite cleansers. They come up on your social media. If you're listening to this podcast, do your gut a favor. Just move past that parasite cleanse, because it's going to not fix your problem. It's going to cause more harm. So many people, they come to me and they say, Brad, I have a parasite. Okay, all right. How do you know? Oh, I see it in my eyes, or I feel it in my guts. And I'm not going to poo-poo iridology, which is the science of looking in the eyes. That's got some real science behind it. I'm very evidence-based. And with these individuals, I say, sure, let's measure your gut. Let's see if you have a parasite. And we do all the testing. And 95% of the time, there isn't a parasite. Or the parasite that is identified, it's nothing to worry about.
That's so true. And I think it always comes back to the power of testing. And for me, I have always been the biggest advocate of testing, like test, don't guess. And I'm sure you've seen it. It's like people are either cutting out gluten, cutting out, going on parasite cleanses, cutting out sugar, cutting out FODMAP food, because like that's what they've heard. But for you and your perspective, why is testing so important? Like if someone comes and say, I have a parasite, why are you first like, well, we have to do a test?
Knowledge is key.
Yeah.
And so having that understanding, it benefits me as the practitioner more because I can utilize that data to help inform, well, this is the direction we're going. This is where we need to be focusing on, rather than cutting out the gluten, rather than taking these herbs over the counter. It's this specific area that we need to focus on. So it narrows down. And so I have greater success, as I'm sure you do, in practice using testing, because rather than spending 6-12 months playing around guessing, oh, let's put you on this protocol or that protocol, we can narrow down to exactly what you need as that individual.
Yeah, I feel like it saves them money too, because a lot of the time they'll just be like, you're throwing spaghetti at a wall, like hoping it will stick. Like, oh, will it work? But you're safe when you know exactly what's going on in the gut. It's so targeted. And like from my story, I don't know whether you know my story, but basically when I was 21, I lost so much weight so rapidly. I became so underweight. I became 38 kilograms, basically lost my period. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And like doctors had no idea what was going on. My skin was yellow and they were like, oh, just eat more food, go on the pill. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, not. And so then I like went on my own journey and started to realize, this was back when obviously there wasn't information. All you had to do was like go onto research papers. And I started to realize like, I actually think it's my gut. And so this is like 2017, so not that big. And I found Kirsty Worth.
Yes.
And this was time when she didn't charge like, she did consult, she didn't charge a lot of money. And I was like, I really want to get my, like I know what it is.
Yeah.
And she looked at my gut test, which was primitive at the time, because I think I don't even know which brand it was. I think I've done every gut test on the panel, but she was like, brought in people, because she's like, I haven't seen a gut like yours.
Ooh.
I know. I really would love to show you my
Oh, wouldn't that
test.
be fun? Let's pull up the report and have a little look at it.
I literally have been trying to find where it is because I'd like love to compare. But basically I had an overgrowth of pathogens, pathobiont. So I had C. diff, Klebsiella, like I had the big guys.
Okay.
I also had like my diversity was gone. Like I have such low diversity. So it's just this huge imbalance. Zonulin markers, so leaky gut markers. I had high inflammation, obviously, from the like it was insane.
Yeah.
And Kirsty was like, I don't even know how you're getting out of bed. But if I didn't know that it was my gut and I didn't look at my gut and I didn't do the testing, like I probably wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah. And that's why I'm the hugest advocate.
Yeah. I look at, every single client that comes to see me does a test. And that's just what I'm known for, and that's just what clients expect, is to do the test and we run through the report. There are about 10% of people where the tests go, oh, there's nothing here, but they're presenting with a lot of digestive symptoms. And we can utilize the test even when there's no red flags. Just say, well, it's not your gut. And you know what it's not? It's not your gut, thereby it's something else. So we've ruled out everything that could be within the gut. And it's more likely that mind connection, that gut-brain connection. And we're actually working on the gut from the mind down. So working on that stress response, that anxiety response, and their digestive symptoms improve. But you can also have other clients where they've got these digestive symptoms. We screen their gut and we actually identify very serious conditions that they need to go on medication and do further investigation with their GP.
Yeah.
So it's a great screening tool as well.
Yeah. When you talk about the gut-brain connection, because I love this part, because sometimes you're right, it's not the gut, it doesn't match their presentation of gut symptoms.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about this and what you do in clinic to help support the gut-brain connection.
I'll give you an example first. I had a lovely client. She was about 70 years of age, and she was presenting with a lot of digestive symptoms, especially when she was out and about being social. Anything from changes in bowel motions to bloating to distension, discomfort in the gut. And we worked with each other for about a year, maybe 18 months. And we put her on a few different protocols and based on her microbiome report, and it worked. Okay, she had great success. So we pulled back the supplements, let her have a bit more freedom in her diet. Then the symptoms came back. So we put her back on the protocol, and then I thought, hey, I'm actually going to try something. I'm going to recommend a few key ingredients, including something referred to as L-theanine, which is a compound for mental health, and a herb saffron. And I gave her this combination. She now needs to take none of her gut products, and that's the one product that she takes, and she's got no digestive symptoms because she's calming her nervous system.
Yeah.
I often have this conversation with my wonderful wife. I say, I would like to go back to university and become a psychologist, a counselor. I feel like so many people that come into my practice, it's their mental health that's at play here. And if we don't address their mental health, their gut health does not improve. We need to work from the mind down as well as the gut up.
Yeah, I think it's so true because I always refer to like cortisol, stress, nervous system as your queen. It will dictate everything else. Like for progesterone, it will steal progesterone. It will affect hormonal balance. And then every system is very interconnected. And the gut-brain connection is so big and how impactful for the stress response. What do you do then? If you could give some women listening being like, okay, maybe it is my stress. What could you help them with?
Ask yourself the question, when is enough enough? And what I mean by that is, take it from a financial perspective. We're always striving to do more and earn more and achieve more. But when's enough enough? When can we say, I'm happy with the amount that I'm earning. I'm happy in the house that I'm living. I'm happy with my level of lifestyle. Dial it back and focus on the things that bring you joy. There's some really interesting research around joy when it comes around to chronic disease. And what these studies look at is those who experience joy have less chronic disease. And we can actually reduce the clinical symptoms of disease by bringing joy back into their life. So ask yourself the question, what brings you joy? Is it colouring in? Is it going to the beach? Is it going to the gym? Is it whatever it is? Whatever brings you joy, do that. Because that's a great way to support the mind connection, but also to support with chronic disease.
Yeah, absolutely. I always refer to a thing called like a parasympathetic reset. So it's small incremental things in your day to bring you back down. Because a lot of women listening are the ones doing all the things. We're working quite hard and we have big goals we want to achieve, and going to a holiday at Byron Bay and staying in elements isn't always realistic. So how can we add those bits of joy into your day on a daily basis as well?
One way that I advise my clients is colouring in. Okay, I was very lucky enough to have dinner with Professor Dan Rodsky. He's a neuroscientist. And picture a 75-year-old professor. He's got the beard, he's got the patches on his elbow with the suit jacket, and he spent his entire career researching how do we change brainwave frequency? How do we change our stress response? And he did all these experiments with electrodes attached to the brain, and what he found is, and he did all these experiments with yoga, meditation, Pilates, you name it. So he did all these trials. The one way to change brainwave frequency was actually spending 20 minutes most nights colouring in.
Are you serious?
Yes. Get one of those adult colouring in books. Get high quality pencils.
Gotta be high quality.
I started off with these pencils that, I don't know, I must
Crayola?
have had. Yeah, like when I had as a child. And I'm like, maybe I'm a little autistic. I'm like, this isn't bringing me joy. And so I went out and I bought the expensive pencils. And I was like, oh, yes, this is nice. I advise that to a lot of my clients. About 90% say, they love it. And they embed it as part of their wind down routine. How often are we, before going to bed, on our phones, in front of the TV? Yeah. We're glued to them, that dopamine kick.
Yes.
Why not switch it up, light a candle, do some deep breathing, color in before going to bed?
Oh my gosh, everyone goes and buys a colouring book. After this episode, we're all like tagging Brad with colouring books.
I have patients sending me emails with their photos of saying, hey, look what I've done. I'm like, oh, that's so lovely.
And like my gut health is so much better because I'm colouring in. I love that. That's so different to, I guess, what I would have thought from when you think about all the research that this man's done with what we've told about reducing stretch, yoga, Pilates, walking, but colouring in.
All of that is great. And meditation is fantastic. I've tried to meditate. My mind is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yes. I can't. Colouring in, I can, because it's giving my mind one thing to focus on.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm the same. Like I feel bad at myself that I can't meditate because I'm like, what's wrong with me? And people are like, just push through. But colouring in, this is my new thing. Okay, what do you feel like when we go back to testing and we were talking about when people DIY at home with their gut health, obviously maybe a parasite cleanse, maybe a gut cleanse that you see, what do you feel like are the mistakes that you're almost having to rework or you're seeing a lot happen?
Going to the pharmacy and taking the supplement based on what the label says.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So it's like bloating something or rather. But when you actually look at the ingredients, you go, hold on, is this the right product for you? One of which, can I call out a few ingredients that I'm not a fan of? High dose oregano oil and high dose berberine. These are herbal medicines which are widely available at very high dosages from the chemist and pharmacy that are effective. There is no denying that they are effective. But when you dive into the literature, they can cause more harm than good. And that is where I see a lot of mistakes being made, is where just you're trying to do the best that you can. And that results in changing the microbiome in a negative way.
How does, because I know this regarding oregano oil because it is such a strong antimicrobial, but in terms of what it does to your gut, could you explain why they shouldn't be taking, or see if they see it, why stay away?
Okay, you say oregano, I say oregano.
Oh,
same. Are you American?
I'm not, but I do sound like sometimes I have an American accent.
There's different ways of describing it. What it does is it reduces the good bacteria, butyrate, which is a beneficial compound the gut produces, and it increases the bad bacteria, which are linked up with inflammation and leaky gut. Now, in some situations, I will use these herbs, and I will use these herbs for a very short period of time under strict guidance, and I'll co-prescribe other interventions at the same time. But I have seen microbiome reports of people who have been on these products for months. And yes, they feel better, but at what consequence? They're damaging their gut.
Yeah. I guess it's the same conversation when we talk about antibiotics, because antibiotics is very commonly prescribed for everything. And the effect that it has on the gut, I'd love you to speak into that.
So the interesting one here about antibiotics, it comes down to your gut. So if we get somebody with really great gut health, and I'll use myself as an example. Yeah. As you know, I am referred to the man with the golden poo. And I say that because I have over 250 different types of species in my gut. See, I've never taken antibiotics. I've never taken pain medication. I grew up on a farm, breastfed, vaginal birth, all those things that make...
Golden child.
Golden child. My son will be very much the same.
He will be golden child.
He will. I've measured my son's microbiome. Whew, it is.
Is it really good?
It's really good. I was very proud of it. It was a proud dad moment. Where was I going? What was the question? You asked about the...
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics,
and
okay.
Depends on the gut.
So, if I took a round of antibiotics with a very healthy gut, yes, I would have a slight change in my gut, but give me 2, 3, 4 weeks, it'd bounce back perfectly okay. But the research shows, and I see this in practice as well, if you go giving antibiotics to someone with an already compromised gut, you will lose species. There will be you won't be able to bounce back from those antibiotics. There's things that we can do and take alongside to protect the gut during those antibiotics when they're needed, let's say for maybe a UTI or a chest infection, these antibiotics, they will save lives. And if they are prescribed by a medical doctor, in most situations, we should be taking them. Yep, but protect the microbiome at all costs.
I agree. And I think that's why for both of us, testing is so important. And so when we look at the microbiome and we see it's not just taking an antibiotic or taking this, but how can we support the diversity that's in there, because we know how much it impacts the gut. I would love to go into a little bit of a game with you.
Okay, fun.
This is something that I've wanted to do because when we talk about gut trends, there are a lot.
Okay.
And what I want to do is a bit of a Dr. Brad approve or not.
Go for it.
I want to go through each of the gut trends that are very common at the moment, and I'd love to know approved or not and why.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
go for it.
Okay. Kombucha.
Approved.
Okay.
And I say approved because we can utilize it to switch out soft drinks. So let's say if we had a client who loves Fanta and Coke and all these processed drinks, and as a stepping stone, we can switch it out. So replace the Coke with a kombucha. Now, we've got different types of kombuchas. The vast majority of kombuchas in the supermarket, they're just going to be like a low sugar fizzy drink. They're not going to change your gut health. If you make your own kombucha, it may be. What the research shows is having these fermented foods can add maybe 1 or 2 bacteria to your gut per year, which isn't a lot. It's so small. It's so small.
Considering how many species are in your gut.
Yeah, we put a lot of emphasis on fermented foods, and I love fermented foods, but you can't go thinking that, oh, this kombucha is good for my gut health. I think that's really a marketing way. It's good for your gut health because we're removing the artificial sweeteners, we're removing the sugar from these other processed drinks, but drinking it every day thinking this is going to improve my gut health, no.
Yeah, that is so good. I also agree because I'd love to then ask about fermented foods. Is it the same then that it only increases your species only marginally?
It's so small. When you look at all of the evidence on what has the greatest impact, and yes, the research shows it's statistically significant, right? But from a clinical relevance perspective, when you compare it, it's like, well, adding in over, let's say, $300 to $500 worth of fermented foods into your diet per year for 1 species or 2 species, is that actually worth it? I don't know. There's other interventions that would have a more profound impact.
Yeah.
Comes down to the quality as well. So going for that, I want to say Byron Bay.
Yeah, the bougie one.
The
in the fridge too. You know how some just get it from the shelf?
Yeah, the shelf. No, that's been pasteurized and heated. It may taste nice, but it's not going to be as therapeutic. You want to also chop and change the brands because different brands will have different types of probiotics in them, different types of microorganisms. So chopping and changing is a great way.
Yeah. I also, when I was going through my own gut healing journey, I think people can go really overboard with fermented foods because when your gut is compromised, histamine comes into play. And I was like, this is what it's shown. I just consumed a lot and I would react so bad, like rashes, I would break out. And it was because of the histamine load in the fermented foods.
And there's a good 20-30% of my clients who can't tolerate fermented foods. If you can, fantastic, great. But don't go putting stress on the need to eat the fermented foods.
Yeah, I think that's so good because it's definitely shoved down everyone's throat as like, it's the be all.
I love them. I have them with, every day I have some form of fermented foods. You look at all traditional cultures, they all have fermented foods. But you don't want to go putting that extra stress on yourself going, I've got to have my fermented foods. If you don't enjoy it, what brings you joy? If it brings you joy, incorporate it.
Oh, that one's so good. Okay, this one isn't gut health, but I would love to hear your perspective. Carnivore diet.
Oh, no.
I knew you would say this.
Okay, carnivore diet. There's a few things I want to mention here. There is no hard evidence to confirm the long-term benefits of the carnivore diet. The reason why the carnivore diet works is you're removing everything from your diet. You're removing the processed foods, the sugars, the artificial sweeteners. You're removing that. But fundamentally, our guts are not designed to be meat and fat only. It's a balance. And I know it's not sexy, but the Mediterranean style diet is by far the most balanced, research and effective diet for not just gut health, mental health, longevity, cardiovascular health. A few consequences with the carnivore diet is, and I see this with clients, they come to me, they're on the carnivore diet and they go, I'd like to stay on the carnivore diet. And I respect that. I go, okay, but hey, why don't we bring in a few bits and pieces, maybe some berries? And they go, okay, I will compromise and I'll bring some berries in. I'm like, fantastic. Then you go past a year or two and they go, hey, I've met somebody and we'd like to go traveling and I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to follow the carnivore diet while I travel. She starts to, and this is a client of mine, starts to eat particular foods. She reacts. Yep. If you remove large food groups from your diet, your body to some degree will forget how to digest it. So we want diversity within our diet. And so restricting just to animal-based proteins is going to make our body forget to digest complex carbohydrates and fibers, because all of these fibers, we don't digest them. The bacteria in our gut digest them. And if we only feed the bacteria in the gut meat, then the bacteria that are responsible for digesting these lentils and legumes, they will disappear. And I've seen that often.
Yeah, and then once you're then reintroducing these, your body has absolutely no idea how to break them down because the species aren't there.
Your body will freak out and have like this bloating and changes in bowel motions, and you're restricted. You then go from following a carnivore diet to a restricted diet because that's all you can consume. I have measured a number of individuals' gut when they've been on the carnivore diet. And this is my own kind of assumption here. And you know this saying, you can't outrun a bad diet. I have a different perspective here. Potentially you can. And what I mean by this, and this is only maybe 6 cases that I've seen. Those who do a lot of exercise, those who go to the gym, I'm talking 2 hours a day, really exercise, their guts are fantastic, even though they're eating a carnivore diet. Whereby those who aren't exercising but eating the carnivore diet, their gut is compromised, their gut is terrible. So I kind of think, ooh, this is interesting.
That's so interesting then, because it's not a proper test, but the variables are the same, they're both eating the same diet, meat is the only thing they're eating, then exercise is the only thing they're doing differently. It just shows the impact that exercise has on the microbiome.
Yeah, exercise, huge impact, not just microbiome, mental health, utilization of the proteins.
Yes.
And if we're utilizing the proteins, I'm moving my arms. If you can't see, if you're only listening to this, if you move your arms, move your legs, your body will utilize that protein. Thereby, it doesn't go down into the large intestine and starts to ferment.
Yeah, that is so good. Okay, I love all these. Bone broth.
Bone broth. You know what we did the other day?
Yes.
So my son, he's 6 months old, Matthew, and we're introducing foods for him. And of course, we're doing the broccoli and the sweet potato and all of these things. And I'm not sure if you've seen this online. Whipped bone marrow. Have you seen this?
No, but bone marrow is so good, but keep going.
Whipped bone marrow is this new, I'm going to quote unquote, superfood for babies. Okay, so all these mums, they get this femur from a cow, big bone. I'm talking, it's half a meter, like it's huge. And my wife picks it up from the butcher, and she comes home, and they cut it down the middle, and you put it in the oven, and you bake it, and then you scoop out the bone marrow, and then you whip it up. It's got a lot of iron and nutrients in it. And so we incorporated that into his diet, just a little bit. Interesting, I don't want to say he had a reaction to it, but his gut was like, whoa, I think we introduced too much too soon. So where am I going with bone broth? Within bone broth, there are these key amino acids which help to heal the gut. What I don't like about bone broth, and I apologize if you are one of these, where you see this on social media, and it's typically the nutritionists, the naturopaths. It's a Sunday morning, and they've got their mug, and they're drinking their bone broth, and they go, yum. I couldn't think of anything worse. Okay, I just fundamentally drinking bone broth as your drink of choice. No, go and have your coffee. You know, drink something that brings you joy. Drinking bone broth does not bring me joy, but I have about 5 different bone broth products in my cupboard at the moment. We put bone broth in our smoothie. We don't taste it. Fantastic. In all of our curries and stews, there's like this really thick bone broth that you can get. You add that in, it brings out a lot of flavour, and it adds those added nutrients, those added amino acids. So it's not a yes or a no, it's just how you do it. Add it into your diet where you're not, you know, one of these social media influencers drinking bone broth thinking, this is delicious.
Do you feel like the concentrates are just as good as the actual liquid?
My suggestion here is to get it through a company where they do independent testing on their products. Heavy metals embed themselves in the bones, especially lead. So when we're exposed to lead, it gets embedded into our bones. And so if you're thinking, if we're boiling up the bones, all of that lead comes out. So that's why I'm always cautious on making your own. Just make sure you're getting it from a good source, or spend the money, buy the product that you know has been tested, whereby it's not going to contain those heavy metals.
Could you drop your favourite?
Could I drop my favourites? There's 2 products that I like. I like Best of the Bone. They do some great products. The other one is Jevity. They do a really nice bone broth mayonnaise. So it's a mayonnaise with no egg, and it's made on olive oil rather than canola oil. And you give that to kids. Yes, it's about $15 a container, but the kids will be like, oh, this is fantastic, this is delicious. And you're in the corner doing this wicked laugh going, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I'm giving my kids bone broth, but it's a easy, healthy alternative.
Yeah. Oh, I love all this. Okay. I love that I wrote parasite cleansers down because I knew how you'd react. Colostrum.
In a form of like a supplement?
Yeah, you know how there's colostrum supplements.
Yeah. Technically, yes, it's going to be great, but why? Why are you taking it? Are you taking it for its binding action? Are you taking it for its immune action? Are you taking it for its gut effects? So we really need to consider the why. Do I prescribe colostrum often? Probably not. It's not one of my go-to. I will do other types of colostrum. It's called serum bovine colostrum. It's a really unique colostrum-based product. And I'll prescribe it for particular patterns that I see in the gut, when it's a very inflammatory gut. So when the gut is inflamed, I will prescribe it because it has this binding action where it can bind on to these inflammatory compounds in the gut.
Okay, no, that's so good because I've seen it come up recently, colostrum becoming a lot more popular. So that's so helpful.
Popular, yeah. But we also got to think about, I was looking at a conference recently and it was a dietetics conference. And it's really interesting to see all of the sponsors of a dietetics conference.
Interesting.
Have you ever looked into this?
No, I have not.
I have a lot of respect for dietitians. They have their place and that they are advancing, you know, choosing the right foods. But it's Big Dairy is one of the main sponsors when it comes around to these dietetic conferences. I only learnt this just a few days ago and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. This explains a lot, along with, you know, these protein shakes that have more sugar than...
and all the additives.
All the additives.
Disruptors.
Like, oh, no, so there is a difference between a nutritionist, a naturopath, and a dietitian. So you do want to choose your practitioner based on what you're looking for.
Okay. The last one is a trend, but also I want you to dive into it because this is your specialty most recently, grains and gluten.
Oh, grains and gluten. We need to go gluten-free. Gluten-free is healthier, isn't it?
Gluten-free is healthier. And I think, the last 5 years, do you reckon? Or more?
Longer.
And it's become very, very popular. And actually, you debunked this myth when I saw you at the conference, sat next to you at the VIP table and felt very out of place. But, I would love you to dive into gluten.
Okay. All right, hold on, because I'm going to rock some socks.
I'm ready.
And I want to put this into perspective. I grew up on a gluten-free diet because that's what my mum thought was healthy. Now, if you can think about what gluten-free products were 30 plus years ago, they were dry, they were bland, they were disgusting. They really were. Now, you fast forward until I was, halfway through my PhD. And up until that point, I was advising most of my clients to go on a gluten-free diet. And then when I really dived into the literature, so my PhD focused on gluten and leaky gut and what practitioners can do to support their clients with gut-related problems. So I was lucky enough to read over 28,000 research articles, 9 months of my life. And
That
this
you
was,
will never get back.
I will never get back, and I recall
Did it
these
bring
days.
you joy?
No, it did not bring me joy. I spent 60 hours a week at the University of Technology in Sydney in a small cubicle just reading these articles. It was a depressing, interesting part of my life. I'm glad that it's over. But as I read through these articles, you're seeing benefits of those individuals who were, let's say, randomized to consume gluten. So they would eat whole meal products and so forth, and they would have health benefits. And they started diving into this a bit more. And in my particular area, so one of the big reasons why people avoid gluten is this concept of leaky gut. One of my idols, Professor Fasano, he discovered this leaky gut back in 2000. Him and his team over in Italy discovered this mechanism, this zonulin within the gut.
Which is the marker of
Exactly,
leaky
yep.
gut.
So you
Yes.
measure zonulin in your gut to determine if there's leaky gut. And he did this experiment where he did all these different cell lines of celiac disease and non-celiac gluten sensitivity, healthy individuals, and his team added a little bit of gluten to all of these cell lines. And what this article showed was everyone had increased intestinal permeability. This study came out in 2015. I quoted it time and time again. So
I think everybody has quoted it.
Everyone's
Yeah.
read this article
Totally.
because the abstract said something along the lines of gluten causes leaky gut in everyone.
Yeah.
And this is really where it started. But then 5-10 years later, all of this research, these randomized control trials, so this high quality evidence came out to show you can eat gluten, but it doesn't actually cause intestinal permeability. The caveat here is a few. If you've got the celiac gene, so you can go to your GP and get what's referred to as the HLA gene. If you get this gene tested and it's positive, then the research indicates that you might be best to follow a gluten-free diet. If you're celiac, of course, a gluten-free diet. But there are some health conditions like Hashimoto's or inflammatory bowel disease where you want to have a lower gluten diet. Riddle me this. If you had an option between a gluten-free product or a gluten-containing product, what would you choose?
I think when you look at the gluten-free product list, say on a bread,
Yes.
where it's like 50 ingredients, and then you've got a beautiful sourdough bread. It always depends on the quality, but if a sourdough bread with normal wheat, made with wheat and water and oil, what are you going to pick?
Exactly. So where I'm going with this is look at the ingredients of a gluten-free product, and I guarantee you'll be shocked. Emulsifiers, seed oils, starches, they're not healthy. Yeah. But you can have some very healthy gluten-free products made on buckwheat. Fantastic. Same thing with gluten-containing products. We want whole foods. So it's not this debate between gluten-free versus gluten-containing. It is whole foods versus highly processed foods.
Yes.
We want to go for the whole foods.
Yeah.
And so go to the cafe in Bondi, go to the cafe in Byron Bay and get the sourdough bread and enjoy it because it brings you joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you also said at that conference, which I really liked, was there's also non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and your wife, who is more sensitive to gluten, even though maybe don't have the markers.
Yes. So I'll say that story about my wonderful wife. What was it last year? We said, hey, let's go to Europe, and so we did the classic summer vacation in Europe, and it was amazing. It was something that we really needed, and when we were there, we said, hey, screw it, let's eat gluten. Okay. Now, I eat gluten. I don't have any health problems and no problems at all. My wife, she has Hashimoto's. And so she typically follows a very low gluten diet. Occasionally, she might have a bite of my croissant type of picture, but she has a very low gluten diet. So we go to Italy and we're eating pizza and pasta and croissants and we're loving life. And it was about day 4. And I remember this. I'm on a boat on Lake Como. And this is like one of those highlights of my life. And I'm driving this boat. Love boating.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's George Clooney's house and Kim Kardashian stayed there. I'm like, yeah, this is where I belong. This is fun. And my wife, she's there and she's just miserable. We're like, although I'm loving this, bless her, I love my wife dearly. I really do. She was argumentative. She argued with everything I said, and we were fighting for the first time in our entire relationship. And we were very much heading towards we need to have separate trips. I'll see you at the airport. It was bad. I slept on the couch one night. And what we actually put it down to was the gluten. So my wife stopped the gluten. Within a day, back to normal. She was lovely and we had an amazing trip. So the exception to the rule when it comes around to gluten is if you're having a visible reaction to gluten, yes, avoid it. But try and understand the why.
Yeah.
Why are you having this reaction to the gluten?
Yeah. And I definitely think it's that quality. Like, I am a non-celiac gluten sensitive human, but I can easily have good quality sourdough, long fermented pizza bases. It's more if the quantity is a large portion, then that becomes the issue.
So quantity. So maybe a little bit's fine, but having gluten 3 meals per day for 4 days in a row, too much.
Too much, yeah. So I think it always comes down to bio-individuality of the person too. But I love disbanding the myth that gluten is bad for every single human. What I would love you to leave us with is your top 3 non-negotiable gut health strategies.
Okay, top 3. Diversity, diversity, diversity. What I mean by that is diet diversity. The greatest benefit that we can have to improve gut health is having a diverse diet. Too often, we go to the supermarket and we replace what we had in the fridge the week prior. We go in and it's the peas, the corn, the broccoli, the zucchini. We're just replacing what we had the week prior. I challenge you to aim for that 30 plus different ingredients every single week, okay? So diversify the bok choy, the asparagus, the squash, the purple potatoes. It's not hard, okay? I'm gonna put a few caveats here because before my son, we would have meals with 30 ingredients in it. I love cooking, and so I'd spend an hour every night cooking and would have these salads with 20 ingredients, and then would have baked veggies and a little bit of salmon and so forth. And we at one point would count them, and there'd be 30 different ingredients in that one meal. We're like, fantastic. Now with a son, and for anyone listening with kids, I'm sure you can relate. We at times will just have avocado on toast because we don't have the energy, nor the time, nor the desire to cook that many ingredients. Where you can, yes, diversity. Food prep is a great one to prepare that quantity.
Yeah, and I always say it's like, for example, if you're having bolognese, can you add a tin of lentils? What can you add instead of taking away to the meals you're already cooking?
And that's my number 2 is beans, legumes, and lentils. They are a superfood when it comes around to the gut.
Yeah.
I come at this from a very, human perspective. If I don't have time to get the raw legumes and lentils and put them in a pot and cook them up from fresh every day, I don't expect my clients to do that. So I'm okay with cans, okay? But the tricks here, there's a few tricks. Organic, beans and legumes and lentils, and get the cans that are non-dented. So when there's a dent in the can, that's where the heavy metals can be leached from.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You see me in the supermarket and I'm moving all the cans.
Your wife must hate you.
this one's not dented, because if you have a cupboard with 5 different types of beans, legumes, and lentils in a can ready to go, it is so easy to add it into a meal.
Yeah.
So easy to throw it on a salad, to throw it in a soup, a stir fry, a curry, and you've got the fiber. It's low simple carbohydrates, higher in proteins.
Yes.
Beans, legumes, and lentils. Start off with a small amount and slowly work your way up.
Yeah, perfect.
My last one is one that I've mentioned a few times throughout this podcast, it's going to be about joy.
Yeah.
Only do these health initiatives that brings you joy. So find something in your life that brings you joy, and I guarantee you, your gut health will improve if you have more joy in your life. Whether it's going to the beach, going for a swim, going to exercise, find a way to bring that joy back into your life. Your gut will love you for it.
Oh, that is such a good one. Now, normally when all the women leave this podcast, they open her file, which is something that allows us to understand the woman sitting across from me a little bit better. So we're going to do something a bit different.
Okay.
I am going to ask you one question. What is the question that nobody asks you, but you would love to be asked, and how would you answer it? As my first male guest.
What is the question I would like to be asked, but no one's asked me?
Yeah.
I've been asked a lot of questions.
I know.
By a lot of different people. What brings me joy?
Oh, I love it. What brings you joy?
I'm glad you asked. What brings me joy? Spending time with my family. And this is one, and I'm actually inspired, I want to say it's from you, about the New Year's resolution, whereby if we wait until New Year's, then, we're already wasting a couple of months.
Yeah.
Start the New Year's resolution now. And one thing that I want to change with my family is to do more things that bring me joy. And they include my ice bath, my sauna, they bring me joy.
Yeah.
Taking the dogs to the dog beach. I love that. Going for a swim most days. I'm not doing that at the moment because I am prioritizing everything else in my life, work and everything. So I want to change it up to bring more joy into my life, to spend more time with my family, because that's what makes me happy.
I love that. And I think I always tell people when it comes to those little things, like schedule it in. Like if you love going for a swim, sometimes our calendar gets busy and we'll postpone it. But if it's scheduled in, are we going to postpone our joy? Dr. Brad Leech, thank you so much for coming on. I honestly loved this conversation, and I know that the women listening will get so much out of it. So if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Very active on the socials, so Dr. Brad Leech, and then website is drbradleech.com. I do everything from, I do prioritise teaching practitioners like yourself, doing my mentor programs, but I do have programs coming out in the early part of 2026 aimed at my patients to better support their gut health.
I love this.
Working on it at the moment, so I'm still filming all the content, writing it, but you get a sneak peek. It is coming. Give me a couple more months while I balance the joy.
Brad, thank you so much.
It's been great chatting.
Thank you.